this evening. Thank you. Thank you for joining us this evening for the March General Membership Meeting of the Arlington NAACP. It is a delight to see so many of you and to know that we are all freedom fighters working together here in Arlington County. Want to begin with prayer? Let us look to our faith. Gracious and loving Lord, we come before you with hearts full of gratitude, thanking you for the gift of this day and for the opportunity to gather as a community committed to justice, equity, and love. Thank you for every soul present on this call, for their dedication, their passion, and their unwavering commitment to the mission of the NAACP. Tonight, we give special thanks for the life and legacy of Miss Rosa Dunkley. We honor the light she shared, the love she gave, and the impact she made. May her memory continue to inspire us to serve with passion and conviction. We ask for your blessings upon this entire branch, its leaders, members, and all who labor for a brighter future. Grant wisdom and strength to those who lead, courage to those who advocate, and endurance to those who press forward when the road is difficult. May our work always be guided by justice, compassion, and truth. We lift up Arlington and surrounding communities, asking that your presence bring peace, progress, and unity. Let us be instruments of change, uplifting each other and working to build a world where dignity and equality are not just ideals, but realities for us all. As we move through this meeting and beyond, keep us rooted in love, steadfast in our purpose, and ever mindful that the work we do is not in vain. May we always act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly in pursuit of what is right. In your holy and powerful name we pray. Let everyone say, Amen.
Amen.
Madam Secretary, are we ready for the roll call?
We are. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. President Delicia Davis.
Present.
Second VP Tia Alfred.
Present.
Secretary, I'm here. Treasurer Karen Nightingale.
Present.
Assistant Treasurer Adriana Spain.
Present.
At-large member Laura Saul Edwards.
Present.
At-large member Whitney Kernoodle.
Present.
At-large member Kellen Macbeth. I believe he said he couldn't stay for the meeting. At-large member James Younger.
Present.
Education Chair Tia Alfred.
Present.
Communications Chair Leah Matterall.
Present.
Legal Redress Chair Amy Stitzel.
Present.
Political Action Committee Chair Jen Marie Benya.
Present.
That concludes the roll call, Madam President.
Thank you so much for that this evening. As we prepare to move forward, as we all know, there is a specific agenda that is given to us by National, and very frequently the Arlington branch deviates for the good of our community, such as our program for tonight, as we are going to be highlighting historic women of Virginia. And so we do need to have a motion to be able to suspend the rules. Is there one tonight?
Madam President, I make a motion that we suspend the rules for this evening.
Second.
Been properly moved in second. Are we ready for the question?
Yes.
Yes.
All those who are in favor, be it known by saying aye or virtually raising your hand.
Aye.
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 Those who are opposed have the same right. Those who would like to abstain, please say your name aloud. The ayes have it. Thank you so very much for that. The next thing that is on our agenda for tonight is to take a moment of silence, and then we will share a tribute in memory of our first Vice President, Deaconess Rosa Dunkley, who 28 days ago in this meeting led us all in prayer. Let's take a moment now in silence of Miss Rosa. With hearts full of love and gratitude, we honor the life and legacy of our beloved sister, Rosa Dunkley, who has transitioned from labor to reward. A devoted servant of God, a fierce advocate for justice, and a faithful friend to many, she lived a life that reflected the very essence of grace, faith, and unwavering commitment to her community. As a deaconess at Macedonia Baptist Church, Sister Dunkley embodied a servant's heart, always ready to uplift and encourage others through prayer and acts of kindness. Her faith was the foundation of her life, and she poured it into every role she held, whether ministering, through service, or offering words of wisdom. She was a pillar of strength and love. Beyond the church, Sister Dunkley's dedication to justice and equality shone brightly through her tireless work with the NAACP Arlington branch. She served this branch with unmatched commitment, holding positions as secretary, religious affairs chairperson, and most recently as first vice president. One of her greatest joys was opening our meetings in prayer. And just last month, on February 24th, 2025, she led our general membership meeting with a powerful, soul stirring prayer that filled the space with the presence of the divine. Her words of faith and encouragement inspired so many, everyone who had the privilege of meeting her. Sister Dunkley was not just a leader, she was a cherished friend, a confidant, and a guiding light to so many people. Her spirit of love, wisdom, and faith will be deeply missed, but her legacy will live on in the hearts of those who she touched. We invite everyone to remember and to honor her memory, rejoicing in the impact that she made, and find comfort in the knowledge that she now rests in the arms of the Lord. May we continue her work, uphold her values, and keep her love in our hearts always. Amen.
Amen.
In memory of Sister Rosa Dunkley, the treasurers and secretary and I are putting together for this year a scholarship fund that will be named the Rosa Dunkley Memorial Fund. And we invite all members of this branch to give towards that scholarship as it will continue her legacy and allow others in the community to receive a blessing. At this point now, we are going to open up for our February financial report. Our treasurer and assistant treasurer are on the line.
Yes. Good evening, Madam President and members of the distinguished Arlington branch. We would like to bring to you our February financial report. The beginning balance was $11,952.26. Thank you, Madam Secretary, because it was getting small. Deposit and transfers was $6,893.98. Withdrawals and transfer outs was $7,699.58. Our ending balance was $11,146.66. That is our operating fund. Our reserve fund that we set aside for emergencies and things that we may need in the future of the branch that will be discussed and vetted throughout the process. We have currently $8,000 in that. There were no deposits nor withdrawals in the month of February. Our scholarship is $185,352.84. There were no deposits and no withdrawals from that account with the same total balance of $185,352.04. I do want to bring to one's attention that the deposit and transfers, excuse me, was a confusion. If Madam Secretary, you go over to the beginning column, please. Thank you so much. Just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. Even though the Freedom Fund banquet occurred in October, there were still some expenses that were outstanding. And what that was is that our vendor, which was the vendor of the food catering service, Sadeco, lost the check. we have provided them with a cashier's check and it was lost. So encouraging them to be able to help them get it back. We went to Arlington County Credit Union, was able to reissue the check. So we see it as a revenue and then an expense back out if you go down a little bit. That we were able to put that, get that money over to Sedeco. It was already paid out in October. The check was lost by them, not us. And therefore, I wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. The other thing I wanted to bring to attention was that the branch itself attended the Virginia Black History Month Gala. And it was $1,000 that we paid out of the branch, which was approved from the executive committee. And each member that attended has paid back their portion of that ticket. So we will see the reversal in that as revenue in our March report. $1,000 will be placed back into our account. So that does end my report. And I'm open it for any questions. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you for your service, Ms. Nightingale and Mrs. Spain, all of the work that you do together for our branch. Are there any questions? All right, what is the pleasure of this branch with this report?
I'd like to move to accept the report.
Thank you. Is there a second? Any member can do so.
I second.
Can you say your name, please?
This is Whitney.
Thank you. Been properly moved and second. Are you ready for the question?
Yes.
All those who are in favor, be it known by saying aye or raising your hand virtually.
Aye.
Aye.
Those who are opposed have the same right. Those who would like to abstain, please say your name aloud. The ayes have it. And we thank our treasurer and assistant treasurer for all of the work that they do to keep this branch going. We also thank our secretary who is working around the clock to make sure our branch continues to move forward as well. We do want to share a couple of committee updates this evening. Our housing chair, or the person that's serving currently as a housing chair, is unable to be here tonight, but we do want to be mindful that we have an upcoming Fair Housing Conference, and that has been sent out to your emails. Please share that widely as we want to be a blessing to this community. I'm going to ask at this point now that political action, legal redress, and communications would just share for 3 minutes each, starting with political action.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So on our committee, we're continuing to meet on Wednesdays once a month. And so our last meeting was last week, and we're talking about our voter engagement strategies. So discussing, traditionally, we usually reach voters through tabled events and also through partnering with affordable housing properties here in Arlington doing door knocking. So we're talking about, new ways that we could expand our reach to voters and get more people registered and engaged. So we are working on that. We're also working on advocating on a few issues. So probably in the next few days, we'll be sending a letter responding to the removals on the Arlington Cemetery website of Black, Latino, and women service members. And we're also preparing for the candidate forum, which we will be doing for the primary elections in the spring. So that's just a short summary of what we're doing. We'll be meeting again next month, so we welcome anyone who's interested to join us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much this evening. Legal redress.
Good evening, everyone. We've had a couple community members make some complaints that we are assisting them with by investigating possible discrimination issues. In addition, we're working on planning our part 2 of our community forum, how to prevent jailing for poverty crimes. This is a continuation of addressing that 3 of the last 4 people that died in the Arlington County Detention Facility were people of color and were arrested for trespassing. So we're trying to support and highlight the issue of trying to prevent those arrests and prevent the continuing jailing of people for those types of crimes. An announcement will be coming soon with the date. Thank you all.
Thank you. And Leah, I believe you wanted to share about the event coming up this week.
Yeah, so we have an event, a special in-person event coming up on Wednesday evening at Drew. The county has asked for members of our NAACP community and other members of our Arlington community to come and share what they need as far as transportation for the future. So the county really wants to hear from our community what we need, and they will roll that into the planning, the long range planning. So that's at Drew. And if you sign up tonight or in advance, we will provide dinner. The county's providing dinner for the event. I went to one related to accessibility. I found that it was useful, and the county really was deeply listening and taking notes on specific things that communities need. So if you are free on Wednesday, come on over, have dinner with us, and talk about transportation at Drew. It'll be in the Drew community side. So if you choose the right door when you're going into Drew school. And we have a lot of other events coming up. They're on our website. The communications committee keeps up the website and does other tasks for the branch to promote the work and action of the branch. If you are interested in joining us, we meet monthly, and our meeting will be next month. You can email me. I'll put my email in the chat. Thank you. I have a graphic. I'll just try to put it in the chat.
Thank you so very much for that and for all of the work that you and the Communications Committee do for our branch. We're grateful. Before we move forward into our program, we still have a few minutes left, and we do have some of our elected community leaders that are here. And so we want to take a moment and give them an opportunity to greet us. Senator Barbara Favola, we are honored to have you tonight. Would you like to greet our branch?
Sure. Thank you so much. I always enjoy, I'm a regular member of the Arlington NAACP chapter, and I try as often as I can to participate in your Monday evening meetings because I really find them inspiring. And groups like the NAACP are so incredibly important in today's times. Now more than ever, we need watchdog groups, groups that are willing to speak out, groups that are willing to defend and protect the rights of everyone, and groups that are willing to talk about the need for opportunity and the need for equity and the need to give every child a chance. Because those values, I believe, are still embraced by the majority of Virginians and the majority of Americans. In spite of everything that's going on with the Trump administration, I believe people stand with the values I just articulated and with the values that the NAACP has always stood for. So now more than ever, you all are just so incredibly, how shall I put it? You're role models. You're needed. You're angels, and you're inspiring. And so thank you for letting me join you.
Thank you for your leadership in our community and for your consistent involvement in our branch. We are grateful for you. And also our Commonwealth's Attorney for Arlington and Falls Church, Professor Degani Tafti, is on the line. Would you like to greet your branch?
Hi, everyone. I'm off camera, sorry, because my house is a construction site right now. I am happy to be here, and I don't think I could say any of what is in my heart better than Senator Favola said. So I just echo what she said, and I'm very proud to be a Silver Life member for several years and an active participant and member since like 2017.
As always, we are so very grateful for you and the work that you continue to do for all of us in making our community safe. Thank you so very much. Are there any other elected officials that I may not have seen on the Zoom tonight? If so, please just raise your virtual hand and charge it to my head and not my heart.
That's perfect.
All right. Well, we are grateful tonight to be able to go into her story tonight as we are going to hear about historic women in Virginia. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to our past president, Karen Nightingale. I'm so grateful for our past president's council that meets with me every month. That's J.D. Spain, Michael Heminger, and Karen Nightingale that are here every step of the way, and you'll see them still being active. I will not allow any of them to retire in the days that are to come. So she is going to lead this part of our program tonight.
As I try to retire, I don't think it can happen. Good evening, everyone. I'm absolutely excited to be here today. When President Davis asked me to do this, it was an immediate yes. In her story, Historic Women of Virginia, how appropriate and fitting for March with this Women's Month, and that we are going through the things that we're going through in Arlington right now, and we're going to hear some phenomenal stories and some historical information from three very strong leaders in our community. They're going to be speaking today. We're going to give them 15 minutes to do so. I'm actually going to time you just because I can. And when I pop back on the screen, you'll know it'd be kind of close to the time for you to wrap it up. And we also want to give time for Q&A at the end. So we want to make sure everyone gets the complete opportunity. It is with our pleasure tonight that we're going to speak of we'll present three dynamic women. Going to speak on those women tonight: Maggie Walker, Evelyn Syphax, and Dorothy Hamm. And we have none other than the wonderful folks that will be presenting that. So just start off speaking about Maggie Walker, and I don't want to mess Mr. Brooks's name up. I think it's Diallo Brooks. If I said it wrong, sir.
Diallo.
Diallo, thank you. And
Diallo.
Diallo. I didn't want to say it wrong. I didn't want to say it right. And thank you. He was going to correct me. I guarantee you that. So, but I do want to read a little bit about these wonderful, phenomenal speakers that we have today. Mr. Brooks, with over 25 years of experience in social justice and civil rights, Mr. Brooks has been a pivotal figure in prompting policies for foster safe, healthy, and thriving communities. He currently serves as the founder and CEO of Civic Vision Strategies, a strategic consulting firm empowering organizations through transformative leadership, development, community, and engagement strategies. Mr. Brooks is also a board member of the National Coalition of Black Civic Participation and a former board member of the Network for Public Education Action. He has facilitated numerous trainings for nonprofits, elected officials, institutions to promote social justice through leadership and policy enhancement. He is a college basketball standout, so this must be his time of year, with March Madness going on, and he holds a BS degree in political science from Shepherd University. We would like to present to you Mr. Diallo Brooks. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Davis, for inviting me to participate. And thank you to the Arlington branch of the NAACP for having this special night. It is an incredible honor to be able to present on Maggie Lena Walker, my great-great-grandmother. I always cherish telling her story and having more folks hear about her story and her impact on not just the Virginia community, but also on the nation as a whole. As the first Black woman to be president and found a bank in the United States of America, it's a significant effort during a time in which we know that there was tremendous segregation in our country, a lot of racism. Black folks didn't have the opportunity to move their resources into an institution where they were allowed to save and also get loans for housing and other endeavors in their lives. She took it upon herself working with the Order of St. Luke's in Virginia to actually found and start a bank. So I'm incredibly excited about telling this story and sharing with you her legacy and history. And just as you all have opportunity to travel throughout Virginia, if you're in Richmond, Virginia at all, please visit her house. The National Park Service actually runs her house as a museum, and they give tours throughout the week and on the weekends as well that go over the history of the house. And they've added some audio where my grandmother is among some of the folks that are telling the story about the house. My grandmother actually grew up in the house for Maggie Walker. She was a businesswoman. Beyond just founding the bank, she also had an emporium that was in Richmond as well. And so we can skip through, go to the first slide if we can. Or the second slide, I'm sorry. I said the first slide. I just wanted to highlight a quote of hers that I think was really just tells a story. It says, "Let us put our money together. Let us have a bank that will take the nickels and turn them into dollars." So that was significant. As she founded that bank, they allowed the community to have an opportunity to invest their resources and save their resources. One of the things that was really important to her during that time as well is the bank to be a community hub, an opportunity for folks within the community to actually learn financial literacy during a time where African Americans were not allowed to have that access to their kind of financial freedoms. There was a lot of obstacles, a lot of challenges during that time, 1934. So if you think back to that moment in history, what was going on in the world, you know it was a tremendous endeavor for her and her colleagues to pull this off. We can go to the next slide, please. So as you can see, she was a trailblazer. She was also a community leader. One of the things I also want to highlight about her work as well was her work as an independent order of St. Luke's, but she was also the founder or co-founder of the NAACP Richmond branch and became the vice president of the Richmond branch of the NAACP. She was also a member of the National Urban League, and she was on the national board of the NAACP. She was also an advocate for women and African Americans as a whole, but in particular as a woman. You know, she came up from humble beginnings. Her mother was born a slave, was later freed. Her father was a white man. We think it was, there's kind of various reports about who he was, but just kind of harking back to that time in history, we kind of know how those situations played out. Her mother later married, and her stepfather and her mother raised her. Her stepfather was then tragically killed as well, and there's a lot of kind of mystery about what happened with his life. But she did a lot of advocacy work as well. So she wasn't just a businesswoman, she was really a community builder. We can go to the next slide. She also founded a newspaper, so there was an opportunity to really tell the story of the community and keep the community informed through her newspaper. And then there was an emporium that she also founded as well. That was a place for folks to be able to buy goods from folks that look like them. The other piece that was really significant for her work is it also employed a lot of African Americans and particularly African American women during that era. We can go to the next slide. I'm keeping track of my time so I can make sure I don't go over my 15 minutes. So as you can see, just her early life, she was born in Richmond, Virginia. Her education was central to her. She comes from humble beginnings, and I think that was one of the reasons she was really connected to the community and they didn't see her as kind of somebody that was elite, that was separated. She grew up washing clothes with her mother. That kind of humble, blue collar, beginning really kind of connected her and endeared her to the community as well. And like I said, she's been involved in the community since she was 14 years old. Next slide. Yeah, and I just wanted to share some pictures and the story that kind of just showed off what was happening during that era, and her leadership during that time. But it wasn't her by herself. She was very connected to other folks that were engaged in the community as well, and really trying to uplift and empower the community as going forward. And like I mentioned, in the bottom left-hand corner, there's her house, which is an historic site. So, you know, it's basically a lot of the artifacts are original artifacts to when she lived in the house, and it's been preserved over the years. And also on Broad Street, downtown Richmond, Virginia as well, there stands a statue of her that was recently put up, and I was happy to be there for the groundbreaking with the governor of the time, and then there with the unveiling with my other family members as well, who've been very active in telling her story. And you can go to the next slide. It's just some more additional pictures. There's also the Maggie Walker Governor School that was founded in Richmond as well. So there's a high school, Magnet High School, that's in Richmond, Virginia, that's named after her as well. So she was, like I said, very involved. I'm very proud of her legacy. She's the reason why I do the work that I do. You know, I stand on her shoulders and shoulders of many others that have come before me, and it's not lost on me. And I take a lot of pride in what she taught me and others in my family, and also others in the community as well. So like I said, I thank you for the opportunity to tell her story. There's so much more robustness to her that I could talk about, but with time running out, I will yield back.
Well, you did such a phenomenal job. You still have some time left. If there's anything else you want to express, you can. And while we're waiting for anyone to have any questions, we want to entertain those right now while Mr. Brooks is available to us, because that's a phenomenal. I grew up in Charlottesville, Virginia, and you know I'm only 45 minutes away, and the history is so rich in Richmond and in that whole particular area. So I was really excited. I think I gotta, when I drive down to my mom's house next, I think I gotta drive to Richmond and check it out.
Yeah, definitely check it out. And like I said, my grandmother actually grew up in the house as well. Maggie Walker kept her family very close. And so she grew up in the house, and they have audio of her and my aunt and my uncle telling the story about each of the rooms in the house and what happened during her funeral, and you know how the whole community came out. The funeral was actually at the house, and so it was, you know, there was no room on the street. There was no room in the house for all the folks that were there. But yeah, I just wanted to, make sure that folks also know that not only was she a businesswoman, but she also was a civil rights leader as well, and spoke out nationally on the issues of the time.
Phenomenal, phenomenal. We have one in the chat. Hold on one second. Let me see. How did Ms. Walker impact healthcare?
Well, I'm not sure. I don't know specifically around healthcare. I think part of it was the economic side of healthcare, meaning folks had the economic means and the ability to save for things that they didn't necessarily have protections around during that time. So folks would have resources to take care of themselves, to take care of their families. So that's the bridge and connection in particular to healthcare.
And I think also we had a question in there, just to get some clarity exactly where the house is. I think you said it, but I just want to say it again.
Yeah, it's in Richmond. It's in Jackson Ward, the Jackson Ward area of Richmond on what's that, Lee Street, right there in Jackson Ward. And the statue is actually literally like around the corner on Jackson Ward. So basically Broad Street kind of separated during that time. One side was the white
Yep.
side of town.
Yep.
Jackson
Yep.
Moore was the black side, and so she
Yep.
was there on the cusp.
Okay. 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 Wonderful. Do we have any other question? Anyone hands are up? If I missed anything, please just unmute yourself and ask the question. I can't see. And if there's anything else, then she also developed hair care products for Black women. I don't think that's the same person.
Yeah, that's Madam C.J.
Maggie
Walker.
J. Walker, yeah.
But they
Yes,
were
ma'am.
actually friends. They knew each other well. So.
All right. Okay. All right. Excited. So is anyway, yeah. So does your family have annual celebration in remembrance of her?
Yeah, so we've usually had our family reunions down there as well. They, like I said, the Park Service does a good job of doing events around her birthday. I was just there not too long ago over the summer for her birthday, and there were some events that were happening in and around the city as it relates to that. And yes, we stay connected. I have cousins that are still there in Richmond and are very active. Telling her story and engaged in Virginia.
Wonderful. Yeah. And also there was a point in time when someone said they wanted some more details. So if you can provide us at the branch here or give us put something in the chat where people can maybe get more information, we'll be glad to publicize that as well.
Yep, I'll put something in the chat because there was a PBS documentary on her life.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Wonderful. So I think that covers it, Mr. Brooks. We absolutely thank you so very much for the information. She was a phenomenal woman. We love to hear about phenomenal people, and that you have the history is really rich, that you can keep that history in your family, but allow and share it with others. So we thank you very much for attending, and please don't be a stranger to the branch.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. All right. Thank you very much. So let's move on. We have two other dynamic speakers today. We're going to have Mr. Greg Syphax come forward, and I'm going to give you a little bit of information. He's going to speak on Evelyn Syphax. Well, Mr. Syphax is a native Arlingtonian and descendant of the prominent Syphax family, which is deep historical roots dating back to 19th century Washington, D.C. Greg is committed to preserving his family legacy while forging his own path in business and community engagement. Mr. Syphax is very involved in Arlington's vast community as a past board member of the Arlington Housing Foundation, as well as the board member of the Black Heritage Museum of Arlington. A real estate investor since 1998, Mr. Syphax manages the property he owns. He also has enjoyed being a television producer at Arlington Independent Media, AIM, from 2004 to 2022. Greg is presently a television producer at Falls Church City TV. Greg Syphax's dedication to preserving the family legacy and advancing opportunities for others has made him a respected figure in both business and community circles, embodying a unique blend of historical pride and forward-looking leadership. We are excited to have Mr. Syphax here. He is a friend of the branch. We love him, and we're so excited to hear more about Evelyn Syphax.
Hello, and thank you, Madam President, and the distinguished board members and our distinguished dignitaries here as well. I want to introduce you to someone that you may have already known or may not know. Her name is Evelyn Reed Syphax, and she was my mother. She was from Lynchburg, Virginia, and she came here, well, from Lynchburg, Virginia, she went to Virginia Union University at 16 years old. She graduated in the class with Doug Wilder, and she came to Arlington, Virginia, and got a teaching job at Langston School up in North Arlington on Langston Boulevard, which used to be Lee Highway. Also, she was a lifelong educator, activist, and community leader. She understood early on the power of education in transforming lives and worked tirelessly to uplift students, particularly African-American students and children in Arlington. Ms. Syphax dedicated her life to improving education in Arlington County. She was instrumental in advocating for equitable education opportunities for African American students during and after segregation, serving as an influential teacher and mentor, ensuring that students of all backgrounds had access to quality learning experiences, founding and leading programs that supported early childhood education, ensuring young leaders had a strong foundation for academic success, preserving Black history and heritage. Beyond the classroom, Ms. Syphax was a passionate advocate for Black history preservation. She played a key role in establishing initiatives that documented and celebrated the contributions of Black Arlington, supporting local historical organizations and museums to ensure the rich history of African Americans in Arlington was not forgotten, encouraging young people to take pride in their heritage through storytelling, historical preservation, and community engagement. A legacy of leadership and service, Ms. Syphax's impact went beyond education. She was a leader in civic organizations dedicated to racial equality and social justice, an advocate for affordable housing and economic empowerment for underserved communities, a mentor and inspiration to countless young educators and community leaders. Even after her passing, Ms. Syphax's influence continues to be felt in Arlington through the programs she helped establish that still support students and educators today, historical projects that preserve the legacy of Black communities in Arlington, the countless individuals she inspired to continue the work of advocacy, education, and community building. In conclusion, I'd like to say, my mother was more than an educator. She was a beacon of hope, a guardian of history, and a champion for justice. Her contributions to Arlington, Virginia remind us of the power of education, the importance of historical preservation, and the impact one person can have on the community. Thank you for allowing me to honor her legacy by advocating for equity, preserving history, and investing in the future of our children. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. It's so important information. And yes, even though some of us might have heard it before, it's always great to know Ms. Syphax, her contributions were phenomenal, and her entire family have been phenomenal to Arlington. We do absolutely appreciate your community support, and we work with you all on everything that we possibly can. We're just excited about this. Education is key. And someone who is so strong in leading this, this is what we need today. We need to continue that legacy that we can build up and raise up our youth in this community, because if it's time now, it is being struck and hit very hard right now. So we appreciate everything you've done. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Syphax? I know he will be more than happy to share and give us some in-depth insights to anything that we want. Have any questions?
As a few footnotes, my mother had a nursery school in Arlington, right on Columbia Pike by 395 and Columbia Pike, and it served the Pentagon before they had their daycare there. So Rumsfeld and his kids would drop their kids off there and then go to the Pentagon and pick them up on the way back. And I also attended that school, and she started that school was because her oldest son, she had 2 kids, of which I'm the second oldest. I'm the second. She couldn't find a good quality daycare school for him to go to, so she started her own. And then the other people started bringing their kids there. And as I attended there, I ended up graduating valedictorian.
All right. See, there you go.
Well, it was a nursery school.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We take credentials from anything we can get these days. You know, how many graduations do we go to now, from kindergarten, from preschool to, everybody got cap and gown. So we appreciate that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Go right ahead. Who's that asking the question?
Robinson, I'm sorry, I'm not very good lighting tonight.
Go ahead.
Give us what the status of finding a home for the museum. I know that is a very important part of our community, and I had not heard yet that it has a permanent home.
No, we don't have a permanent home right now, and we are working with Arlington County to have it across the street on Columbia Pike from where we are at when they build the library over there. And that'll be like in 6 to 7 years, I believe. But as the present time, we're on Columbia Pike by the McDonald's and the subway across from the mobile gas station, which is actually between Walter Reed and Glebe Road. We're in between there, those two.
Yes, I actually brought a guest over there for my genealogy class, and she was absolutely fascinated at what you all have displayed there. So thank you for your work in preserving that history and the legacy of your mom.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Any other questions?
I would
My
like
mother-
to just check. Oh, go ahead. Oh,
Go
this
ahead.
is Linda Harton speaking. Craig Syphax, it was a pleasure meeting your mom when I was, I think, an officer with Von Sil Hines in our local branch here in Arlington. But I would like for you to comment on your mother's, her alma mater, and wasn't she she gave like $1 million to her alma mater, which I can't remember the name.
Yeah, she graduated. She one of her alma maters, her first college she went to was Virginia Union University, and yes, she left a substantial donation to them.
Okay, thank you.
She also received a master's degree from New York University in childhood education. She received an honorary degree from St. Paul's College, which is no longer, and she received a honorary degree from Liberty University.
Amazing, amazing, just amazing. And think back when that was. So it's phenomenal times,
Okay.
So let's see, we have some questions. How can the NAACP branch help to continue Ms. Syphax's legacy? How can we give you support? What can we do for you?
I would say support the museum. That would be the best and first thing that comes to mind.
Okay. Another question, this is a great one. What is your favorite memory of your mother? We tend to think about these great leaders as superhuman, and it's so important to understand that they were normal women who rose to meet their moment and had a family and raised 2 children. So what is your favorite memory of mom?
My favorite memory of my mother would probably be her instituting punishment to my brother. No, let me see.
That's good, Craig. That's good. That's good. That's good.
I would probably say my best moment. There are quite a few of them, most of them being personal. Maybe when she was on the school board, Arlington County.
Okay.
When she was sworn in.
Okay. That's phenomenal. Yeah, that's phenomenal. Yeah. So Tia Alfred says, doesn't she have several buildings in her name and honor?
She has one building that's in her honor at Arlington County, the Syphax Education Center.
Right.
Which is in South Arlington off Washington Boulevard. And there is Syphax Manor, but that's a private residence.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, she keeps living on, even though when we're
Mhm.
excited. We're absolutely excited again, of course. You know, we always have a good time seeing you, sir, and we hope that we'll see you again soon. But anything that we can do for you, just please let us know, and we will definitely support the museum and make sure that we can spread the word that we need to do things we need to do in this community. So we thank you. Thank you so very much this evening.
Thank you.
All right, now, not just last but not least, absolutely, we're going to honor Dorothy Hamm, and we have none other than Carmella Hamm is to present today. I'm going to read a little bit of what she does. She's done so many phenomenal things in her lifetime. Her career spans over 40 years in television, film, and radio production. She graduated with fine arts degree in communication, arts, and design from Virginia Commonwealth University, VCU. Later enrolling in American University Graduate Program for Film and Television. She attended John M. Langston Elementary School from kindergarten through first grade, and once Langston finally desegregated in 1966, she attended Walter Reed Elementary, Stratford Junior High, and Washington Lee High School. Her professional career began in Richmond at WTVR AM, I remember that station, and their CBS affiliate WTVR TV Channel 6 as a camera and audio technician, film editor, set designer, artist, and voiceover announcer. She came back to Arlington in 1996, where she worked with WYCB Gospel Radio, Howard University Public Television, Media General Production, News Channel 8 in Fairfax, and BET. Upon leaving that, she recently retired parents, beautiful. She relocated back to Richmond to be near her recently retired parents' beautiful New Carolina County home. During this time, she met and interviewing NAACP legal counsel Oliver W. Hill Sr., who provided representation to student plaintiff involved in the Brown versus Board of Education and all the public desegregation lawsuits. She has done phenomenal things. I want to bring you a little bit close to where we are now. She is over the years, Ms. Hamm has participated in several television discussions held in Arlington County, Central Virginia in 1959, Arlington Public School desegregation of Stratford Junior High, which is phenomenal in Arlington. Additionally, she has presented portions of her documentaries at VCU, Virginia Historical Society, University of Richmond School of Law. This is a phenomenal woman. She has researched for 2 books. Most recent writings can be found in a collection of essays by Sharon Pelham, entitled Our Mother's Love, Loss, and Legacy. It is an indeed honor and a great honor to present to you, Ms. Hamm. Thank you very much. Ms. Hamm.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I am attempting to share my screen here. I don't know if you can see that or if that's something that's going to be done on
We
your end.
absolutely can. We absolutely can.
I'm sharing it from my end, Ms. Hamm.
Oh, okay, great. When I get ready to play the video, I'm going to push play from my end so you can hear my mother talk about her life experiences and get an idea firsthand from her about her legacy. I'm going to start now with playing the video. Hopefully that will, trying to do screen sharing, so hopefully that will work.
I will stop sharing so that you may share. Ms. Hamm, I'm able to share from this end the video as well.
Over 40 years ago, I was asked why I fought so hard for equal education and equality in other facilities. There are many reasons why I did this, but there is one reason in particular, And this is an attempt to answer the question of my 8-year-old son. Some of the comments coming from Bernard was very touching. He was quite outspoken and he wanted to know the answers. One particular one that he said was, "Why can't I?" That was involving his attending Stratford Junior High. It was difficult to have to explain, why you can't go because you're a colored child. And later on to try to explain why you still can't go. And of course, after all of my explanation to him, he said, "Mama, you told me that I could go to Stratford." And when you tell a child, or at least when I told one of my children that they could or could not do something, I meant it. And to him, because I had told him that he could go to Stratford, he couldn't understand why, even though at one point the judge had said, "You can't go." So that was a difficult thing for me to attempt to explain to him. He was denied admission to Stratford. But because we went back in court, he was able to attend. And of course, finally, he did get an opportunity to go to Stratford, maybe 3 or 4 years later after he finished the 6th grade, I believe, 1 week after Stratford opened. After being denied to go to school for 6 or 7 days, finally Bernard started to Stratford Junior High. One day he returned to his seat and he found this block in his desk. And on this block is a picture of a man with a rope around his neck, hanging from a tree, with the words, "nigger." You can imagine how a 10-year-old child would feel to find something like this. Of course, he brought it home and he showed it to me. And the first time during the course of all of those years, I believe I really got upset, or perhaps I can even say angry, because even though I had told him something like this may happen, frankly, I never thought it would. It's difficult for me to talk about a lot of other things that happened during that time. I still find my eyes filled with tears talking about it or even thinking about it. And I can still hear the words from Bernard saying, "Why can't I?" But in the end, it turned out to be, "Why can't we? Why can't we be equal? Or why can't we be considered equal along with everybody else?"
Okay, I think the
Over
video
40
is
years
playing
ago,
again.
I was asked why I
Okay, thank you. The Supreme Court, as most of you know, I'm sure, the decision for Brown versus the Board of Education was handed down on May 17th, 1954. Well, by the time May of 1956 came along, nothing had been done with Virginia schools in terms of desegregation. So my mother, along with several other members, parents from our Halls Hill, Highview Park community, as well as from the South Arlington area, in addition to several white parents and their students, filed suit against the Virginia Supreme Court, which at that time was located in Alexandria. And they filed suit on May 17th, 1956, exactly 2 years after that decision was handed down. Next slide, please. During the time that court case was taking place, even though they filed it in 56, they did not start going to court until 57, all of 1958. And you'll see the newspaper there, the Northern Virginia Sun. The photograph to the right on that paper is of my eldest brother, Edward Leslie Hamm Jr. Next to him is Gloria Thompson, who was one of the first 4 students to desegregate Stratford. Her mother, Ethel Thompson, who was very, very involved, and her oldest son, Stephen Thompson. Stephen just happened to be the first and only graduate of color from Washington Lee High School in 1961. To the left, I'm sorry, of that newspaper article, there are 2 men standing on the steps of the courthouse. The gentleman in the hat is Attorney Oliver Hill Sr., and standing next to him is Spotswood Robinson, another attorney who was very, very vocal and involved in not just the Arlington desegregation case, but also Brown versus the Board of Education, of which 5 different suits in Virginia, Delaware, Washington, Maryland, and I think it was North Carolina and Topeka, Kansas, were all involved in that case. Next slide, please. That shows my oldest brother and my mother. I'm sitting in my mother's lap, and the gentleman holding my hand is the younger of my 2 brothers. At the time that they were wrapping up the court case, my mother was pregnant with me. And this picture was taken, I was born in July of 59, a few months after Stratford desegregated. This picture was taken of us maybe a year after that occurred, or almost a year. Next photograph, please. My mother was arrested along with several other people during the sit-ins in Arlington of various eateries. And this is a picture of the drugstore, People's Drugstore in Cherrydale, but there were several restaurants as well as other eateries that they picketed. And my mother was arrested. This happened shortly before I was born. She was pregnant with me at the time. Next slide, please. And then in 1963, when I was 4, my mother was arrested again for leading a picket line in front of several different movie theaters in Arlington County. Here is the theater on Columbia Pike and at the corner of Columbia, and I believe it's Walter Reed Drive. And the sign she's holding says, "The price of a ticket at the cost of your conscience." Well, one thing I want to say regarding her arrests is that they were so organized and worked so closely with the NAACP that whenever they were arrested, by the time they got down to the jail, the attorneys were there to bail them out. So they never spent any time in jail. But that just shows how, as I say, organized everyone was during this process of protesting during the 1950s and 60s. Next slide, please. This is a sort of a montage, if you will, of newspaper articles, community highlights from Halls Hill, Highview Park. And this took place, these photos took place in 1965 in the newspaper there. And you can see the conditions of the roads and everything on Halls Hill, Highview Park. There were no sidewalks, there were no curbs, no gutters, anything of that nature. So that was the next thing that my parents, my mom and my dad, participated in making sure that we got those things in Halls Hill, Highview Park. Next slide, please. The slide to the left shows 3 totem poles that were installed at the entrance of our community. And there are several people from our community working on the planting the flowers and developing that lot. Unfortunately, one of the three totem poles was cut down and removed, supposedly by a group of young folks in a white community in Arlington at that time, and was never replaced or located. So the community opted to keep just two of the totem poles there and the stump of the one that was cut down. The photograph next to that shows my mother. She was chair of the committee, the beautification committee for the John M. Langston Citizens Association for many, many years. And it shows her working on the beautification lot that was on North Edison Street. And across the street from that lot was the home of Mr. Bertie Alston, who went on to be president of the Civic Association or Citizens Association. The woman next to my mother is Ellen Bosman, who were lifelong friends. And I guess, as you know, the county building is named after Mrs. Bosman. The photograph to the right shows my mother 2 years later receiving the award from the county for beautification efforts that they had done with the community. The next slide, please. This article was from the Washington Post. It was a series of interviews and photographs that were taken in February of 1969. And you see one of the newer houses on North Cameron Street, young girl riding her bike down the street. And next door to the new house is an abandoned house, which eventually was torn down. To the right of that is the interview that the reporter did with both of my parents at our home in Arlington, talking about their involvement in the community. And of course, I'm the little person in the middle sitting between my parents. The photograph to the right of that actually is from 1971, and it shows several people from our neighborhood very devoted to the community with their Cleanorama, which became a yearly event for not just our community of Halls Hill Highview Park, but for all of Arlington. Next slide, please. Again, on the bottom left, you see the photograph of my mother and Ellen Bosman. The woman who's bending over watering the flowers we had just planted is Mabel Alston. I think I mentioned her husband, Bertie Alston, was eventually one of the presidents of the John M. Langston Citizens Association. And it was very interesting at that time. The organization sort of cycled between 5 or 6 different people primarily to participate in different I'm sorry. I recently had a brain tumor removed, so I'm a little I'm a little forgetful. But they different officers for the organization, and my mother served as president, vice president, and secretary. I don't recall if she was ever treasurer, but there were several people, as I say, that cycled through that organization over a 25-year period or so to operate in different capacities. Next to that is a photograph of Washington, D.C. burning. That picture was taken the day after Martin Luther King was assassinated in 1968. Next to that is a photograph where people are holding a sign that says, "A better world is possible." That photograph came from the Poor People's March on Washington, which Dr. King was planning or organizing with several other individuals just prior to his assassination. My mother was very instrumental in working in Arlington, along with several other people, to provide places for folks who were coming out of different states to come to the Arlington area and then proceed to Washington, D.C., to the monument grounds or the Lincoln Memorial Grounds to protest. Beneath that is a photograph taken from the 1976 bicentennial parade, of which the John M. Langston Citizens Association won Best in Show, Best in Parade for their freedom float. And on this freedom float were depicted real people from our community dressed up as John M. Langston, who was the first African American, Native American, and white individual to serve in the General Assembly in Richmond, Virginia. Sojourner Truth, Mary McLeod Bethune, Crispus Attucks, who was a person of color, who was the first one to be killed in the Boston massacre. They say that happened because he was so tall, he stood out, and he unfortunately took the first bullet. Next slide, please. There's a color picture on the left, bottom left of the Freedom Float, where you can see some of the people waving. Above that is a picture of Dr. Martin Luther King from 1963 as he addressed crowds of thousands at the Lincoln Memorial. That's where he gave his historic I Have a Dream speech. Beneath that is an overhead shot of Washington, D.C. as it burned after his assassination. And above that, to the far right, is a different picture from the Poor People's March. And the gentleman on the far right of that picture is Reverend Jesse Jackson. Next slide, please. February 2nd, 1959 is the date that the first 4 students of color attended Stratford Junior High School. And you can see them there walking down the sidewalk. There were a lot of armed officers on site, but there were no reported incidents of violence, thank goodness. To the right of that is an image of 4 different four different panels showing the history of school desegregation and the court battles in Virginia. There's my oldest brother is in the middle panel, and behind him is the first 4 students. And after that, it's a panel that talks about the youth from currently involved with the school and the fact that even young people can take action and make change. And the very first image is Barbara Johns, who was a 16-year-old from Farmville, Virginia, Prince Edward County, who called up attorney Oliver Hill and complained about the conditions of the school there. And when Mr. Hill and several of his law partners went down to see for themselves and interview her, they were so surprised because she was such an articulate individual. She actually was the niece of Reverend Vernon Johns, who was the predecessor to Dr. Martin Luther King, and the church where he preached got rid of him because they felt like his actions were too radical at the time, bus boycotts and boycotting businesses and things of that nature. But of course, Martin Luther King stepped into that position, and he was able to accomplish the same thing, but with a different approach. On the back of those 4 panels are individual images of the first 4 students. I implore all of you, if you get a chance, to go to Stratford Junior High, which is now Dorothy Hamm Middle School, and take a look on the grounds near the football field so that you can see these things for yourself and get a little bit of history. Next slide, please. This is a picture of Stratford right before desegregation, and to the right is the picture of the same school building that is now called Dorothy Hamm Middle School. Next slide, please. At the top is an image of several people standing, and the gentleman seated in his wheelchair is Attorney Oliver Hill. To the left of Mr. Hill is my father. Next to him is my mother. The tall gentleman standing in the middle is Paul Di Pasquale, who did the bust of Oliver Hill, which is located in front of the convention center in historic Jackson Ward in Richmond. I'm standing next to him, and next to me is Miss Vassar, who was the president at the time of the Oliver Hill Foundation. The photograph below that is my father, my mother, and I. And you can't see my mom's face, but that was taken from the newspaper interview about the pony ring not allowing people of color to come and ride the horses. The heart-shaped image is my mother and I taken from a 1980 event that we attended in Virginia Beach. And below that is a photograph of several individuals. The gentleman on the left is Bertie Alston, who at that time was the president of the John M. Langston Citizens Association. He's being handed an award recognizing all of the things that the community did with respect to beautification. And it's being presented to him by Congressman Joe Fisher. Of course, you see my mother there, who was the secretary of the organization at the time. The man next to her in glasses is Captain George Burke, who was the vice president. And then the gentleman in the far right is my father. Next image, please. This is an image of my two brothers and myself taken from 2019 at the Arlington Historical Society annual awards banquet. My parents were awarded the Cornelia B. Rose Award for community activism. And of course, you see me behind my two brothers. Next image, please. And this is a more recent picture of my mother. I did have a few other images I wanted to show very quickly. However, I don't know if I can gain control to share those because they're here on my laptop. Is it possible for me to do that?
Yes, you can share.
Yeah, you can share.
While she's pulling up those images, if anyone has questions, please put them in the chat. Carmella, if you'd like to send those images to me and you can answer the questions, I'll pull them up.
And while we're waiting for that, yes, absolutely. If anyone has any questions, please put those in the chat. And I'm monitoring the chat now. Well, Ms. Hamm, are you still, if you're not able to share while you're sharing that, does anyone have any questions? This was a beautiful presentation. Anybody have any questions for her that we can absolutely pass on if she has dropped off? We don't see her at this moment, but do we have any other questions? You have some wonderful things here in the chat. Magnificent story. It should be written up if others, if it's not already done so. And we just love some of those beautiful pictures of
Okay, I apologize. I was talking. Apparently, I turned my microphone off somehow.
no problem, Ms. Hamm, no problem.
As Pastor David says, blame it on the mind, not on the heart. But
Absolutely, no problem.
Are there any questions that I can answer quickly?
I don't see any particular questions there. People are saying that the photos are wonderful. And so one question, did you or your siblings ever pick it with your mother or help her make signs?
No, I was not born, and then by the time she finished doing her picketing and demonstrations, I was probably around 5 years old. Um, my brothers did not participate in that. They were very much involved in the court case to desegregate schools in Arlington. And I had showing the House Joint Resolution 458, which Delegate Karen Garner, as well as Karen Darner, as well as others, participated in getting that passed, honoring my mother. And there were also a couple of other images, which I apologize, I'm not able to send right now, but one is of her passing, taken from a wonderful story the Washington Post did, and it talks about how she led Arlington school desegregation. In the photograph with that image is my mother speaking with Barbara Claire Marks, whose mother, Barbara Marks, was a secretary for many years for the NAACP. Then there's also a flyer, a poster from the African American Trailblazers ceremony from 2010, which my mother was nominated for that, and then an image of the dedication at Stratford Junior High School, as they named it officially Dorothy Hamm Middle School. And the last pictures are of um, Voices of the Garden, which is a women's monument on the Capitol grounds in Richmond, Virginia, the state Capitol grounds. It has 13 statues of women who were really instrumental in history in the state of Virginia. Behind that is a glass wall that has the names of several hundred other women, and on that wall is my mother's name as well. And I'll do my best in just a moment to send all of those to you so that you can show them at some point if anyone's
Absolutely.
interested.
That's
Thank you.
wonderful. Well, we absolutely thank you so very much. We want to be cautious of everyone's time, but we just want to applaud each and every one of our heroes today, of her story participants. Have been phenomenal, and we thank you so much, Ms. Hamm, and all the other presenters today who have done a phenomenal job. And I leave you with this at this point. I turn it back over to our president, but a wonderful, wonderful, his influential women of Virginia. We got a lot of rich history right here in Arlington, so we do appreciate you. So we applaud each of you today. Thank you so very much for giving me.
Thank you, Ms. Nightingale. I'd like to say real quick, I would just want to recognize former Senator Mary Margaret Whipple. I think I saw that she was on the Zoom event, and she was very, very instrumental in leading the process of creating this monument and making certain that my mother was honored on there, as well as Evelyn Syphax. So thank you everyone very much, and thank my family members that I see are online for participating and joining us as well.
We absolutely thank you so much, Madam President.
Thank you so very much, Ms. Nightingale, for leading us tonight in such a magnificent way. We're grateful for my friend and brother, Diallo Brooks, sharing with us, for Craig Syphax, and for Ms. Carmella Hamm. It's been a joy and delight to be able to be a part of this tonight, an enriching experience. And I say we don't need to stop here. Although this is Women's History Month, we will continue to bring history, our local history, to our branch so that we might continue to learn about the strong legacies and the shoulders on which we stand. And so I'm grateful tonight. I'm also grateful, as we talked about the Stratford Middle School or Stratford Junior High School, I serve as the pastor of one of those individuals, and he's on the line tonight as well. Grateful for Michael Jones and the way that he advocates for justice and equality in Arlington as well, and many of you for being freedom fighters. Before we close tonight, let me say the Arlington branch of the NAACP needs your help. We need you to serve on committees. As we all know, these are some very different times that we are living in right now. And it seems like our world has changed drastically in the last few months. And so it's very important that we are all standing together and speaking out for equity and equality, not only in Arlington, but in our world. So please, if you have even just an hour of your week, give to serve on one of the many committees, and you'll see that in your email tomorrow. Also, we may not be able to change the world in a day, but we can do our part. So you can sign on to letters and petitions as they're going forth. The NAACP National has many different trainings that are happening right now and letters that are going out federally as well as statewide, and we are doing things locally as well. This branch is sending out 2 letters this week, both as we think about the budget for Arlington County as well as for housing, for equitable housing. So I ask that you sign on to letters and petitions and that you join into events. Before I pray tonight, there is an event tomorrow. The Arlington Coalition of Black Clergy has come together and is having a town hall for federal workers and contractors. Our speaker for tomorrow is Alyssa Tafty, and she is going to share with us rights and resources for all government workers. It will be held in person at Macedonia Baptist Church, where the Reverend Craig Harcum is the pastor. You can also join in by going on the Zoom, as well as being able to ask questions from there. It begins at 6:30, and we will have other resources available, as well as all of the faith communities that are represented. We'll have social workers as well as clergy persons there to pray with you and pray for you if that is your choosing. And so I invite everyone to be a part of that tomorrow at Macedonia Baptist Church from 6:30 to 8 p.m. If you know anyone that has been affected by the recent firings and layoffs and things that are happening in the government, or even anyone that is nervous or anxious about what may happen, please invite them to be there. It's better to be informed, right, in that. And so we want to be a blessing to our community. Thank you for being here tonight. There are other events that are in the chat. Thank you for what you do day by day, and thank you for upholding the leadership of this branch. Can I pray for you now? God, I thank you and I praise you for the wonderful people who serve in Arlington and all around Northern Virginia, Washington, D.C., and Maryland. And God, we just ask that you continue to be with us. We thank you for the strong and rich legacies of Maggie Walker, of Evelyn Syphax, and tonight of Dorothy Hamm. And we ask, God, that you continue to lead and guide us to be freedom fighters, to help to make this world a better place by what you have placed in us. Bless all of our members, bless our leaders, bless our community and our world, and we'll give your name all praise. Amen. Have a blessed evening, everyone.
Bye.
Bless you. Thank you. Beautiful
Thank you
meeting.
so much. Beautiful meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
If you have any questions, feel free to stay on.